Every morning I get out of bed, turn on the coffee pot, and then I raise the living room blinds and open the living room window so Captain Fuzzy Butt, aka Dex the cat, can lay there and listen to the birds and watch the neighborhood cats and just have a view of his world. And then Lucy and I go out for our morning walk. And it is absolutely one of the best parts of my day. It is so incredibly beautiful here in my neighborhood. The streets are designed so that there is a meridian in between each direction. So you'll drive up one side and down the other. It is just so peaceful and lovely, and everyone drives slow. And it's one of those neighborhoods where people wave. You know, they drive by and they wave, and you chit chat, and people are out on the porches and they talk to me like I've lived here for 20 or 30 years. It really is so very beautiful. When I was living up by Lake Tahoe, I was on the far side of Mount Rose in an area called South Reno. It took me about 25 minutes to get to Sand Harbor, which is my favorite place to kayak, and that's really why I lived there. I lived in a third-story apartment, and my apartment was gorgeous. It was really so beautiful, and I loved every minute of living there. But I was in a bit of a concrete jungle. In other words, to take Lucy out for her walk in the morning, it required that we get in the car and go to the park. Here we literally can just walk out the door and have the most beautiful morning walk. It really is lovely. One of the interesting things about the area I'm in, and I'm off a street called Boundary Avenue, which is absolutely stunning. It has been planted with live oak trees on either side. So the trees have grown up and canopy over the street. It's so pretty to drive down. The area is so peaceful. It's filled with trees and beautiful homes, and it's just quiet and lovely. Yet I'm probably a 10-minute walk from downtown. It really is quite just a spectacular location and has such a unique quality to it. Down this street, about a 5-minute walk, is a French bakery and restaurant. I may have been there once or twice for a little treat. This little group of houses, which is a couple of streets down from me, is a group of rental houses. And I just think they are so adorable. They're like little doll houses, and they're so beautifully maintained, painted lovely. Look at how clean the grounds are. I walked by earlier this morning with Lucy, and there was someone out here power washing the sidewalk. Whoever owns these properties is just taking such good care of them. They're really very, very sweet. I'm going to show you the front of a few of them, which I just get such a treat looking at every day. Look at how sweet these are. These are like tiny little, 1 or 2 person cottages, and they have little backyard areas too that are fenced in that have really nice grass. Here's the front of one of them, or it's actually the side of the house, but this is what fronts the street. Aren't these just adorable? And I want to show you something right here. Look at that backyard area. Just so beautifully maintained and landscaped. Just delightful. This particular unit, look at how whoever lives there has that front porch area decorated. That person's after my own heart. And then what I want to show you over here is the landscaping. Just a tiny, tiny unit and a very small front yard area. And just really so beautifully done. There's a Japanese maple in the middle that's going to grow up and be a little bit bigger. The planters behind the grass, it just looks so nice. And when you see it in person, it really does make quite a statement. So whoever owns these properties, you are my hero. They're so well done and so beautiful, and clearly a different landlord than I've got. That's for darn sure. Here's the last one, I believe, in the little grouping. Every time I walk by these, I just love it. You can do so much with a small property to make it look beautiful, to really enhance the neighborhood, and create such a pretty statement in the world. This little house here, I don't know if this is part of the other rentals. It is so sweet. And look at those ferns on the front porch. And it looks like they've trained those boxwoods and those planters. I think that's really, really pretty. And again, very tiny yard, beautifully done. Honestly, I have lawn envy with this one right here. They've got a little blooming vine going up the mailbox. Really so very pretty. This neighborhood is filled with delightful little surprises. I've had a few of you ask me how I make my overnight oats, and I am so happy to share this. I imagine that a lot of you already do this or you know how to do it. I love this dish because I eat it, gosh, probably 4 or 5 days a week. It's really delicious, super good for you, super easy to do, very, very affordable. So the way that I start is by making my overnight oats. And what I use is the rolled oats. These are the organic rolled oats from Thrive Market. I also use organic chia seeds, and I just picked these up at Walmart. Today I'm going to be using the Swerve brown sugar replacement. I get this off of Thrive. There's 3 different types of sugar replacements from Swerve. There's confectioners, granular, and the brown sugar. I like to use the brown sugar for this recipe because it has that deeper, more rich kind of molasses taste to it. And then the last thing you're going to need is some type of liquid. I use organic coconut milk. This is unsweetened. You could use milk, you could use almond milk, you could probably use water, although it might not have the same rich flavor, but I use this organic coconut milk, which is unsweetened. So none of this is measured. I just do it by visual looking. I use just a little glass Anchor Hocking bowl. I believe this came in the set that I talked about a few weeks ago that I found at Walmart. And I'm just going to add some oats. And I would say that this is probably about 2 cups of oats. Then I'm going to add some chia seeds. And again, I don't measure, I just sort of eyeball it. So I would imagine that's about a 1/2 cup of chia seeds. And then I can add the brown sugar. You don't need to add sweetening at all. I like things a little bit sweeter sometimes. I'm going to add it this time. The last time I made it, I didn't add a sweetener, so it really just depends on your taste. So I'm just going to pour a bit in there. I think that that's probably about 3/4 of a cup. And now that I have that all in, I'm going to add my liquid, and just enough to make it stirrable, but not too wet. Then I'm just going to mix it all together until it's all mixed up, and then that goes in the refrigerator, and this batch will be ready tomorrow morning. And I generally go through a batch like this in about 5 or 6 days. It will keep that long, and then probably a few more days beyond that. Here is the very end of my last batch of overnight oats. And you can see I have just about 1 serving left in here. And that's going to go right in my bowl. Then on top of that, I'm going to add some peaches from the farmer's market. I generally use any kind of fruit I have. I've done figs, I've done blueberries, I've done peaches. You can do bananas, whatever fruit that you have on hand. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 peaches in today because these are fairly small and they need to be eaten. So now that I have them sliced up, I'm going to go ahead and just cut them into bite-sized pieces, and they go right on top of the oatmeal mixture. On top of the peaches, I'm going to add some organic, plain, whole milk probiotic yogurt. And I just do a couple of spoonfuls from the spoon I'm going to be using. And then I top that with some chopped walnuts. There we have it, a bowl of overnight oats with some fresh fruit, yogurt, and walnuts. It's just delicious. I've actually got my filming studio pretty much all put together. It's not gorgeous, but it's very functional. I'm looking around thinking I need something up on the walls, maybe some paintings or something. I had mentioned in a past video that I had ordered a storage rack, a wire storage rack off of Amazon, and was sent the wrong one. What I was sent was a super heavy kind of industrial garage rack. Well, I contacted the seller and I said, I need to return this, but there's no way that I can lift it and get it into my car. And you know what? They were so great. They sent someone out the next day to pick it up from my house. So they were lovely. Anyway, I did end up going to Lowe's and getting this wire rack. It's really good quality, and I think it's actually less than the racks on Amazon. So I'll have it listed down below if you're in the market for one of these racks. I think I truly have bought about 500 of these in my lifetime. There's Dex the cat hanging out. So you can see this is where I'm organizing all my makeup. It's not pretty again, but gosh, it is so functional and very, very affordable to put together. So up top, I have my makeup in different categories. And what I'll do in a few weeks is I'll go through and show you what I ended up bringing. I pared down my makeup collection by so much. And I think it might be interesting for you guys to see what I kept. I kept only the best of the best. So up top is my makeup, and then down here on this row, this is how I organize what I put into videos and show you guys. So when I go out and buy something that I'm going to use in the future, I'll just throw it into one of these buckets, whether it's a product for face, eyes, lips, and then once I've tried it, I put it in the review bucket so I can tell you guys what I thought about it. And then down below here is backstock. My ordinary backstock, I put in a couple of orders every year when they have their sale, and I get pretty much everything I think I'm going to need for the year. And then, of course, my City Beauty, which is a big part of my routine. And then I had just various items down here, and then down below are for larger things. That box on the left is some products that a company sent me. I haven't even had time to open it up. So that's how I'm going to organize my makeup moving forward. And then over here, this little goofy piece of furniture, I originally got this to go in the kitchen. It was so bad. It was another one of those online furniture fails. It was so bad, I just couldn't even stand to look at it in the kitchen. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to move that into my filming studio, and it's ended up being handy. It is not cute at all, but it is sturdy and stable, and it has a lot of shelves. So over here, I have all my devices plugged in, ready to go, and a lot of my camera equipment. So this is going to be kind of a more functional space where I keep things that I use fairly regularly. Over here are my tripods, and then my filming table right here. I ended up going with a desk height this time. I used to have a counter height makeup table because I spent so many years, I don't know if you guys know this, but I spent 35 years working as an illustrator and a product designer in the gift and paper products industry. And I started painting at waist height level on a drawing table that was that height, and I just got used to it. I'm going to go ahead and try the desk height here and see how I like it. I ended up not bringing my ring light with me. This is a new ring light. The other one I had just been through a lot of battles and was not as fresh and sturdy as it used to be. So I ended up just getting rid of that one and got a new ring light. So when you see me do makeup videos, this is where I'll be. I doubt that Lucy will be in here, but the room will look like this. I'm going to put on a little bit of makeup this morning. I don't think I've worn makeup maybe more than 2 or 3 times since I moved here. It's been a month now since I've moved here. Today I'm going to open up a local bank account and I have to go to the post office. So I have to do a little bit of business stuff. And I thought, you know what, Kimberly, maybe you should put on some makeup. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to start with the Stila One-Step Primer. The only reason I'm using this is because I want to use it up. I don't necessarily think that it's worth the money, to be honest with you, but it is a good primer. I think you can find a lot better primers or primers just as good as this one for a much more affordable price. For foundation today, I'm going to use the Color Stay from Revlon. I love this foundation. It is such a great price. It is such a great foundation. What I really need to find is a good BB cream that I like. And I just haven't spent the time to really investigate that. Because it's so hot and humid in this area, I do think that a BB cream might be a good alternative. I'm just going to use a very little bit of this today. I don't want full coverage. I just want a little bit of evening of my skin tone. So just a little bit of the Color Stay. What color am I? Gosh, I can't read it. Oh, here it is. It's 200. I'll go ahead and have it listed down below. And like I said, I'm not looking for full coverage. I'm just trying to even out my skin tone a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and use the Beauty Pie Under Eye Corrector. Still in love with this, although I haven't really used it in a long time just because I haven't been doing my makeup. I haven't been doing my devices as regularly either, and you can see the big bag under this eye. This is the eye that seems to really get the big bag. Once I get back in a regular routine with my red light every morning and my Nebulift almost every morning and doing my QT, my Myolift QT a couple of times a week, things are going to snap right up. I noticed that my neck is looking a little bit saggy and wobbly. That's from not doing my red light regularly, but I think things are kind of settling down now, and I should be getting back in my routine pretty regularly in just a few days. I use the Tarte Ultra Shape Tape Creamy Concealer. Still really loving this one. And again, just a little bit. Boy, that bag is really... It's really making itself known today. This is the Kosas Brow Pencil. It's called the Brow Pop. Still really loving this one. For eyeshadow today, I'm going to use the Pillow Talk from Charlotte Tilbury, and I'm just going to go into this pink shade right here and do a very light coat on the lids. And then I'm just going to top it with a little bit of the shimmer shade. I just am trying to put a little bit of makeup on, not really do a full face, although I'm doing every area of the face. Probably just more subtly than I usually do. First I went in with this rosy shade down here, and then I topped it with the topper right over here. For bronzer today, I'm going to be using the Lumi Bronze It from L'Oreal. Still really loving this. You can see I've hit pan on it. I very rarely hit pan on anything. So just a little bit of color. For blush, I'm using the Laura Geller. This is her baked blush in Tropic Hues. This is really, really a pretty blush. I still haven't found all my tools. I'm still using my travel kit that I put together that I don't think I used the whole time I was traveling here. For highlight today, I'm going to be using the Sungasm from Catrice. Look at the size of this pan. This is such a good value. I think they still have it in the line. I've had mine for quite a while. And a lot of you have asked about this dual-sided brush. This is from Beauty Pie, but I don't know if they still have it in the line. You know, they move products in and out of their line, and this was one of the brushes they had a while ago. You might check on the Beauty Pie site to see if they still have it, because I really do like this brush very much. So just a little bit of highlight, the fronts of the cheeks. My neighbors are going to think a new woman is living here. I'm going to tight line with the L'Oreal Lay Liner. This is the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Base. I need to get a new one of these because mine is looking pretty sad. And I think I'm just about down to the bottom of the barrel with this one. And then for mascara, I'm using the L'Oreal Noir. This is the Voluminous. I like this very much. I don't know if I like it as much as the Sky High, but this is really good. And yes, I'm still using the Ordinary Lash Serum. That stuff is the bomb. I think that's one of the best products they've released in a long time for them because it's so good and it's so affordable. It's like $14 a tube, and it's a peptide serum, so it really helps your lashes grow longer and just look thicker and more luscious. I imagine they're selling the heck out of that stuff. Hair done, lipstick on. For lipstick today, I use the Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Lip Cheat in Pillow Talk Medium. And for lipstick, I used my Huda Beauty in the color Angel. Isn't that a pretty combination? Lucy and I just got back from our morning walk, and today we went to the farmer's market for her walk, which we usually do on the days that there's a market. I didn't need anything this morning, but I took my backpack and a couple of dollars anyway, and of course, I found something. Some of you have been asking what the prices are at the farmer's market and how they compare to the grocery store. So I thought I would just share. I only got two things this morning. The first is this dozen of farm fresh, grass-fed, locally grown eggs. Aren't those beautiful? Those are large eggs, and she had extra large. So she had eggs that were even larger than this. And this gal, oh my gosh, she sells vegetables and eggs. She must be in her late 60s, so she's really rocking it. So I got these eggs. These were $3. I think that this quality of egg in the store is probably a couple of dollars more and not nearly as good. If you haven't had homegrown, that sounds kind of funny, chicken grown, grass fed eggs, they're just a different animal. And then I also got some cucumbers for another gal. Her and her husband are there every single day that the market is open. They're there 3 days a week, and she grows a ton of vegetables. Today I just got some cucumbers from her. I peel these and make a little salad with just oil and vinegar and salt and pepper, chop them up. It's just a delicious fresh little salad. And these cucumbers for this whole bunch was $6. So that just gives you a little bit of reference of what you can get at the farmer's market, at least locally here in Aiken, and how it compares to what you see in the grocery store. This week, I'm working on creating artwork for different areas of the home. And what I do is I get the house mostly decorated, and then I decide what kind of painting needs to go where. So what I have been doing is I have been picking up canvases around town, depending on where I see them and if they're a good price. So what I do when I bring a canvas home, and this one is a framed canvas. It had a piece of art in it. It was on clearance at Tuesday morning. This one and this one were both $21, which is a screaming deal for a canvas with a frame. So what I did is I just taped off the frame area and I paint the canvas completely white. I don't need to do that to start a piece of artwork, but it just helps me have a clearer vision of what I want to create. So you can see this one up here. These were a set. They were $21 each. I've started creating the artwork on this piece that I'm eventually going to hang in the house. Here are a couple of canvases I just picked up this morning. I think it was Dollar Tree or Dollar Store or Family Dollar or something. The little one was $3. The bigger one was $12. Again, another great price to get a stretched canvas. And then I'm just going to paint them white and go ahead and create on the canvas what I want for that particular area of the home. This little piece, it's just a decor piece. It's very inexpensive. It's all wood. I'm going to do just a little bit of brushwork. I want a little more definition on these leaves right here. I know where it's going to go. So these are just little arts and crafts projects that I'm working on to kind of put together the finishing touches in some areas of the house. I thought I'd give you a little update on the yard. Nothing's happened. Both Ryan and I have been really, really busy. I have just been frantic on the inside of the house, as you guys know. He's been busy with work stuff. So we are in the planning stages, and I'm sure something's going to happen pretty quickly. However, I did buy some pots today, and I want to plant them with, some flowers and that sort of thing, just so the entryway of the house doesn't look so incredibly sad. I'll tell you what, this is not fun to drive up to. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel homey. It doesn't feel anything like that. So I thought if I put a few flowers in front of the house and maybe some creeping rosemary, something pretty, that it might feel a little bit more homey and fun as I drive up. I do have some pretty ferns right there, and those are nice. But the rest of the yard still looks sad and desperate and filled with weeds. But Ryan is on his way over. I think he's going to bring some ideas for these pots. And also, I need to talk with him about putting in my fall garden. I have planted many fall gardens in my life, but I haven't planted one here. And it stays warmer a lot longer. The frost date's a little bit different. So I just want to get some clarity on what's really going to be worth it for me to grow. I am interested in growing my own food. That's one of the reasons I moved here to South Carolina, is the long growing season. So Ryan's going to give me some pointers on that. I'll tell you what, I wish that I could download his knowledge about gardening and landscaping into my brain. That guy knows so much. He was raised in a family that's been into gardening and landscaping and growing their own vegetables forever. He's got a mulch company, he's got a compost company. He understands all that stuff, and I wish I knew all that. But I am grateful that I know him, because I can ask him all the questions I want. Looky there, it's my favorite plant nerd.
Yeah. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
It's a beautiful day. All right, Miss Kimberly, we brought you some really cool stuff from the nursery today. We are going to spruce up your yard with these containers. That way, if you want to take them with you on down the road, you can. And I can't take all the credit for the selection of these plants today. Miss Pam at the nursery really helped me out, and she put together this container that's really going to be more matching the season to come. So this is going to grow into fall, give you those nice fall colors to kind of offset your house and just give you something pretty to look at once you pull up. So what she's done, as you know, with container gardening, we need to have three things. We've got to have our thriller, which in this case is going to be our red fountain grass. This is going to go up out of the center and just kind of explode out of the pot. Going to have the really pretty purple fronds that'll come up and kind of dance in the wind. And then we've got to have our filler, and in this case we're going to use a couple. We've got some beautiful coleus there. We're going to use this really cool croton. This has got a ton of different colors that'll add a lot of contrast. And then we have the really pretty sun patience right here that will give us a nice pop of color. And these can take full sun, so they'll be fine right out here. So that's our filler. And then we of course need a spiller. In this case, we're going to use this awesome Proven Winner sweet potato vine. This thing is just going to kind of explode and cascade over the front of the container, giving you that cascading, spilling effect. So thriller, filler, and then our spiller.
This looks so gorgeous, and the color of that potato vine is stunning.
Isn't it cool?
It's just gorgeous.
And it'll contrast really well with the red burgundy color of the fountain grass, as well as it'll match and contrast with the croton. So she picked us out some really cool stuff here. I'm so excited, you guys. It's not going to be as depressing to drive up anymore. Nope, you're going to have a lot of color.
Yeah. So what about feeding these plants?
Sure.
I know that it looks like you brought some bags of more stuff for me to
right.
play in, some more dirt to play in.
And so I love this line of products here. This is our Espoma products. And I love them because they use all organic fertilizer. And as you know, organic's just going to, feed a more natural fertilizer to the plants, but it's going to last longer too. And the plants, they just love it. So we're going to plant in their Land and Sea compost blend. But the one thing, the most important, no matter what zone you're in, wherever you're at, is your Biotone. So I am a super firm believer in this product because it contains all of the beneficial bacteria and fungi that you need to really, get these plants started off right, and then just keep them blooming and keep them healthy throughout the season. And this is some of the bacteria and fungi we use in our compost too, so I know this stuff works.
So, Ryan, I've got these green stock planters, and you can see, I think there's 35
Yeah, there's a lot.
different, areas to plant in this. And then I also have these fabric containers. And I've planted a few of them. I have cherry tomatoes, and you just told me that you think they're going to live.
Mm-hmm.
I planted them anyway, just because I was hoping they would live.
I know they're going to live because your thumb is so green. You're going to be just fine. But the good thing about it is here we're Zone 8A. The great thing about Zone 8A is it's warm. We have a pretty long growing season, and so we've still got about 100 days before first frost. Ours is right around November 15th average.
Oh,
so
I thought it was November 1.
Well, that's like technically 8 to 23 or something like that. So I just call it November 15th.
All right.
So we've still got about 100 days. So you really have got time to grow a second crop of just about everything other than plants like squash and stuff that just can't take, the heat that we're having right now. But tomatoes, greens, broccoli, now's the time to get that stuff started because we've still got plenty of time to harvest before frost. So you've got a ton of options. Now, in here, you've got so many containers. I'm just sitting here thinking of what we should plant in here. And since we have so many and they're relatively small containers, I say let's do some herbs because you said you like to use herbs in your cooking. And we can do some greens, maybe some mustard greens. We could do some broccoli. Some of our smaller veggies we'll try to put in. We may not plant every single one of them because that's a lot, and we just don't have that much space. So we'll try to use the smaller veggies and herbs in your towers here, and then of course your larger stuff that needs the grow space in the bags. But we've got plenty of time to grow an entire garden before frost.
What about kale, collard greens, mustard greens?
Now's the time. Yep.
Okay. Do you think that they would do better in the green stalks or better in the larger planters?
Well, your collards get pretty sizable. Okay. So they're going to do better in here. Now, mustard greens we could get away with in here. We might even want to try carrots in here.
I was going to actually do carrots in the bigger pot.
Sure.
But you know what? I can do both. I can do them in these, in the big pots, and
then
then
we'll see which one does best.
Yeah. Now, what about the espoma? Should I use?
Yes. That espoma, that Biotone, we're going to use it, and I use it in every single thing that I plant. Reason being, that beneficial bacteria attaches itself to the roots, and it goes out and gets nutrient and water for the plant and brings it back. So they work symbiotic, and one helps the other. It's an amazing process, but it really helps.
I love the fact that he knows all this stuff. Give me a plant nerd any day. I could talk to him all day long. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
With these containers, because they're smaller, how much of the Biotone would I put per container?
Okay, so the great thing about the Biotone is it's organic, so we don't really have to worry about burning, our plant material. But on the back of the package, it gives a recipe. I can't remember it right off the top of my hand. I usually just sprinkle a little bit in there, but it does have a recipe per a cubic foot of soil, use X amount of Biotone. But it's pretty simple because you don't have to worry about burning.
Okay.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, I talked about my love for fried okra. I grew up on fried okra because my grandmother made it, and she was from the Ozarks. Talk about Southern cooking. That woman could cook up a pan of fried okra in cornmeal in no time, and it was so delicious. A few of you commented after I posted that and said, you've got to try oven roasted okra. Now, anybody that's in love with fried okra is going to hear oven roasted. They're going to go, no way is that going to taste the same. There's something about fried okra that has the most rich, delicious, nutty flavor. There's just nothing like it. At least I've never found anything like it. In the spirit of being open-minded, I did try a roasted okra recipe. And I'll tell you what, it's absolutely delicious. Everybody was so right. And as a matter of fact, this is going to sound blasphemous. I like it better than pan-fried okra. It is so good and it is so much easier. So I'm going to cook up a batch of okra tonight for dinner and bring you guys along with me as I put it together. I don't measure anything, so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just put the recipe, a link to the recipe down below, so you guys can go over there and get all the numbers and all the ratios and all this and that. I just throw things together. So what you're going to need for this recipe is some fresh okra. Now in the South, here in South Carolina, there is okra for days. Several vendors at the farmer's market have okra. You get to pick out your own. And if you have the opportunity to pick out your own fresh okra, I try to go for the smaller pieces of okra. Once they get bigger, they get really woody and are a little bit tough. So I try to pick out the smaller pieces of okra. So you're going to need some fresh okra, some olive oil, cayenne pepper, garlic powder, sea salt. This is a Himalayan pink sea salt. I think that there's probably better brands than Morton, but this just happens to be what I have. And thyme. Now here's the thing. When I saw thyme in the recipe, I thought, well, that doesn't sound very good. But you know what? It absolutely adds to the flavor. It is so delicious. So try it with the thyme. I think you're going to love it. So I'm going to prepare the okra by cutting off the end right here. So I just cut that end off right there. And then I'm going to slice it longwise. And I know that that doesn't sound like it's going to taste very good and you're going to lose that yummy okra flavor, but stick with me here. It is so delicious. And I've been looking forward to eating this all day. So this is how the okra is going to look, and I'm just going to throw them in my bowl. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of this container of okra. What I did is I rinsed all the okra off earlier in the day and set it out on the counter so the okra is nice and dry. It's not going to go into the oven wet because we don't want it to steam, we want it to roast. I have my okra all prepped and prepared and cut up in a big bowl, and then I'm just going to start throwing in the seasonings. And you guys, like I said, I don't measure, but I'll have the recipe listed down below if you want the exact measurements. I just sort of wing it. If you're using dried thyme like I am, fresh thyme is actually the best. I don't have any fresh thyme. I always put it in my hand and then just rub my hands together so it breaks up those little pieces in. It has a little stronger fragrance than if I just threw it in. So I'm just going to mix this all together onto a cookie sheet. And I try to get it into one layer. It's a little hard to do, but just as flat as I can get it. And then this is going to cook in a 450 oven for about 20-25 minutes. I toss it with a spatula a couple of times while it's cooking, and you'll know it's done when it's looking a little browned and crispy on a few of the pieces. Here we have the finished okra. This is so delicious. If you love okra, particularly if you love fried okra, give this a try. I think you're just going to be so surprised. Any day that I get to wake up and plant is a really, really good day. And it is such a lovely morning out here. You know, it is August in the South. I'm in South Carolina. And hot and humid is the story for the whole month, but it actually feels a little bit cool this morning. It's just so lovely. There's a bit of a cloud cover. I get to plant these two planters that Ryan brought over all this beautiful plant material for. I'm so excited. One of the things that I try to do when I'm gardening is I don't wear gloves. I wear gloves when I'm working, like wheelbarrowing or shoveling or that sort of thing. But when I'm just planting, I try not to wear gloves because there are so many benefits from getting your hands in the dirt. From mood elevation to immune system support to just so very much. So I really enjoy getting my hands in the dirt. And if you're a gardener, you know how good it feels to be around plants and to be planting. And there's something about it that just is so divine. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to spend it with me. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. Again, I'm Kimberly. This is Pretty Over 50, where we talk everything makeup, skincare, and lifestyle for the over 50 woman. Make it a great day. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.